Welcome back, everyone. My name is Krysten Danielle, and I am here with Apolla Performance to give you my specialty class of body physics. We have been discussing over the last couple of videos beginner and intermediate turns. Now it's time for us to dial and focus in all of that information for our advanced level turns. We're still going to apply our same body physics concepts, remembering to push down through the floor to go up, working on our ribs and hips to stay connected, keeping our armpits lifted as though they're in a vise. We are going to work on applying these concepts so that we can actually remove the blocks, work a little bit more in an across the floor type of stance, and then really get into using our knowledge about turns to apply into real life turning. Let's get started.
Starting from the top of the head, begin to roll down. You're going to do 2 demi-pliés, then roll back up. Do 2 head rolls to the right and 2 shoulder rolls forward. Repeat the roll downs with the demi-plié. On the way back up, the head rolls will go to the left and the shoulder rolls will go backwards. Once completed, you will move on to demi-pliés. You'll do 2 demis, 1 grand, then pulling into a flat back and coming back to standing. Afterwards, you will do 4 plié to relevés, 4 straight leg relevés, then 4 forced arched relevés. You will pull back into your flat back, release all the way over, do 2 demi-pliés, then rise back to standing. Once completed, you will go into a deep demi-plié, then push in to a passe balance. You will do this 4 times. After the 4th time, you'll stay in your passe balance and then do 4 fondus, 4 plié to relevés, and 4 straight leg relevés. And then, of course, repeating again on the left.
Wonderful work for that parallel exercise. Now we're going to take everything that we've done with the parallel and connect it with our turned out positions. In other words, when we are focusing on the turned out, we're actually going to think about connecting our pinky and blade sides of our feet constantly to the floor. We're going to be taking the outsides of our knees and bringing them out towards those pinky toes so that we're constantly thinking about the turnout. Not only that, but where the knees are in connection in space. Are they drawing together when we're supposed to be turned out? We want them to feel like a magnet that repels each other, so they never want to connect. So we're always thinking about the knees rotating away, because then that automatically causes us to rotate from the tops of the hips. We also want to think about when we're in those retiere positions and we go in for our fondus, that we are traveling into our coup de pied position and then traveling back up into the retiere. So we're not going to leave the toes at the knee. Also, for this exercise with focusing on being turned out, we want to think about the outside of the knee with retiere positions, constantly traveling and trailing backwards so that we're always keeping ourselves straight forward. Otherwise, that knee is going to pull inward. We're not going to be activating the turnout in the same way, and we want to make sure that we're constantly utilizing the turnout in this particular part of the exercise. All right, let's go.
Starting from the top of the head, rolling down, completing 2 demi-pliés, rolling back up, 2 head rolls to the right, 2 shoulder rolls forward, and then repeating the sequence. Rolling down, 2 demi-pliés, rolling back up, 2 shoulder rolls to the left, and 2 shoulder rolls backwards. Pulling right into our demi-pliés. 2 demis, 1 grand, 1 flat back forward, coming back to our standing position, and then going into our 4 plie to releves, 4 straight leg releves, and 4 forced arched releves. Pulling into your flat back again, 2 demi-pliés, rising back up to standing. Moving right into our plie, into our passe balance. Moving from 2 feet to 1 foot. 4 times. Remember, constantly pressing the knee back, as well as keeping the armpit lifted. Then pulling into 4 times for fondu, 4 plie to releves, and 4 straight leg releves. Again, repeating that on the left side. Do not forget your key concepts of pushing down to going up, keeping that knee pressing back in space, and the knees rotating away from each other each time.
Wonderful job with those turned out exercises. Now we're going to focus a little bit more on attitude turns. So bringing in the position of front and back attitude. We're going to do an exercise that I like to use, especially with younger dancers, with helping them train the alignment of the foot. We're going to be using a simple one block in order to help shape the direction of the feet so that we're understanding what muscles are necessary to be able to bring the foot into its proper alignment versus leaving it in a soft or sickled position.
Placing the feet on the block, put them closer towards the front end of the block, allowing the toes to hang over. You're going to bring the toes up towards the face and then relax them towards the floor. Afterwards, then you will take the block, sitting in a double attitude position. Place the block underneath the back end of the foot. You're going to then lift the pinky toe upwards towards the ceiling and then allow it to relax towards the floor. Repeating this on both sides.
Really great work for the attitude exercises. Now we're going to be able to apply our information with actual turning. I love to be able to use a little bit of the information we've gotten on the blocks to be able to apply to across the floor. So we can still start from the bottom, starting with the knee, and then pushing down to growing up to hold on to our balance. I like to alternate so it gives it a nice little progression, even for beginner dancers, intermediate or advanced, no matter the level. This is a great exercise that you can use in the classroom or even at home in short spaces or longer spaces if you have it, to be able to travel and work on the balance and be able to work on those key concepts that body physics instills.
We're then removing the one block and placing the knee on the floor, pushing up from the floor, down to go up, to pull into our passe balance. We're going to do this 4 times and then hold in our passe balance. We have 2 times with our plie to releve, and then returning back to the floor. Repeating again on the other side. Constantly thinking about pulling in towards the midline of the nose and the belly button, pushing down through the heel to go up, and maintaining our ribs and hips. When we go into our turned out positions, remember our quasi, keeping the block crossed in front of us. The knees constantly pressing out, and of course, maintain your control when going back to the floor. During the turned out positions, we're going to be extending into a fondue and front attitude position, and then extending the legs straight, swinging it through into a back attitude position. We'll do this twice, and then of course on both sides as well. Remember to pull in towards the midline of the body with the nose and the belly button. And then again in connection with the shoulder when pulling into back attitude. Once finished, you can move across the floor, going down to the knee and pulling up to a passe releve balance, and then alternating each side. Remember pushing down into the floor through the heel, activating the hamstrings and the glutes to go up. Each time you can progress and make it more challenging. You can pull into a passe balance and then down to a fondue and rise back up, alternating sides each time. If you're unable to go fully across the floor and need to stay stationary, you can always just remove the block and simply go from the floor. Don't forget, if you do this with your turned out positions, to constantly keep that knee pressing back and the armpit on the opposing side lifted.
One other thing that we're going to want to remember is also that when we are applying our knowledge of physics to our turns, we want to think about everything pulling in towards the midline of the body. And I like to think that we're using our nose and our belly button as guides to help us pull towards that midsection. So when we're pulling into a front attitude position, we're thinking of that heel pulling towards the nose and the belly button. Especially when we're going into the back, same thing. Not only do we want the toes to pull towards that midline and thinking of it pulling towards the back of us, but we also want the knee to pull into connection with the shoulder. So if it's right knee, right shoulder, left knee, left shoulder. We're going to use all of this information to help apply towards our attitude information. So let's go ahead with those exercises. When we're getting into relationship with actual turning, you want to think about the musicality or the tempo of a turn. With relationship to parallel turns specifically, or jazz turns, we always want to think about the turn being quick and fast. There's a reasoning behind the heel being popped in the back so that we can flick the toes in towards the position that we're trying to turn in quickly. It gives us the ability to have that momentum. Our spot is really super important. If we start with one single turn, then we're going to want to think of just sailing it around. We don't want to use a lot of force. We don't want to wind up. We simply just want to use a small spot of the head and that flick of the toes. It's going to increase itself each time we work to increase the turns. So if it's a double turn, then we're going to spot the head just a little bit faster. We're going to think, instead of going one around, we're going to go 1, 2 in terms of tempo. That's how fast we're going to be going in that double turn. If we're thinking about it being a triple turn, we're going to think 1, 2, 3. It's going to be super, super fast, and that's how fast the head needs to turn in order to create a triple out of it, and then so on and so forth. If you're working to try to get those 8 pirouettes or 10 pirouettes, whatever you need, you have to think about how fast your head has to go in correlation to how slow it would have to be turning if you were only doing one turn. So that way we're understanding our body's need for force. Let's apply these concepts. Let's see how we do and get turning.
Going across the floor, we have chassé, pas de bourrée, into our parallel prep, pulling into a passe balance, then back to our parallel prep, completing a single pirouette, and landing in second position releve. This can be repeated numerous times across the floor. You can always go back, restart it again. Remembering to ground the heels as you transition through your chassé. If working to complete turned out turns, either attitude or a simple retire, make sure that we're pulling the heel in line with the nose and the belly button and consistently pressing the knee back in space.
Absolutely wonderful work. So proud of the effort that everyone has put in up until now with their work for turning and their understanding and trying to apply these concepts. You can repeat this class as many times as you like over the course of a week. I would say if you want to do it every single day, absolutely build that muscle memory, instill that knowledge, build that technique, go for it. At the least, I would say try to do it once a week if you can. Thank you so much. My name is Krysten Danielle. You can find me on most social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, under @MissKrystenDance. Please don't forget to check out Apolla Performance's website, their Facebook, their TikTok, their Instagram as well. They've got a lot of great merchandise that is coming out, wonderful new things that are happening. They've got other classes available, free of course. Everything is donation based, so make sure that you're checking that out if you're wanting to donate and share that the class has provided value for you. Thank you so much again. Don't forget to take care of your feet. Again, my name is Krysten Danielle here with Apolla Performance. Bye.